One of the great leaders in trying to get the border secured and sort out all this immigration mess is Dan Stein, president of the Federation for American Immigration Reform, or FAIR. Dan Stein, how are you, my friend? And is this fair, yes or no?
What they did in the Senate is not fair, but I got to tell you, I love your show and I listen all the time.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it. What a disaster, huh? What do you make of all this?
Look, I mean, I was around in 1986, and I remember Chuck Schumer brokered the agricultural amnesty program that gave the agreement that produced the 86 bill. And the fact is, Chuck Schumer helped to draft an amendment that turned out to be one of the biggest frauds on the American people. That agricultural amnesty program fraud rates were estimated at 70%. Now, when he got into a dark room there with his other gang of 7 and said he was going to draft a bill and pile in every special interest that might want to use the immigration system as a form of basically public graft, we knew that he was going to come out there and basically say, hey, I got a bill that's going to do everything that everybody wants to do, and we knew he was going to lie. The problem with Schumer, though, is that he knows precisely why this bill will not work as advertised. He knows exactly where the fraud will be. He understands the enormous delegation to the executive branch. He understands that Obama essentially usurped Congress's role in not enforcing the law, and now the Senate, with 14 Republicans, is delegating to the executive, to a rogue president, the right to completely abandon the rule of law. And we have now politicians who don't seem to understand that respect for law is the cornerstone of citizenship that helps a diverse society like ours cohere.
You know, that's like the most beautiful 3 minutes on this I've ever heard. And it's now 15. Lamar Alexander also voted for this. I mean, any surprises among these 15? I mean, Kelly Ayotte, although she seemed to announce. Any surprises to you?
Well, we were hoping up until the end that Alexander would come through. I mean, the surprises are kind of the disappointments, because we thought maybe we had Hatch up until toward the end there. Wicker was a big surprise. We thought.
How do you explain that?
Money. I mean, what Schumer did was pile in pigs at the trough. And, remember that immigration is essentially a public asset. It's no different than a federal contract. This is shelf space for the privilege of living in the United States. And if a politician can promise shelf space in the United States, it's a form of public graft, if you will, in providing immigration benefits in exchange for political money. And Schumer understands that better than anybody else. The unprincipled aspect of what's going on here is that historically immigration's been above it all. I mean, been above partisanship. We've had commissions. We tried to take it above the special interest and really take an enlarged view of the national interest. And now what we find is Menendez was making cloaked and veiled threats on the floor that there would be public unrest if the bill wasn't passed. You played a bit from Schumer earlier, essentially claiming there was going to be, a civil rights movement marching in the streets. Obama, by abandoning the rule of law, and now the comments from Menendez and Schumer they're essentially saying we're going to unleash perhaps civil unrest unless the House falls into line, and these are not very veiled threats.
Dan Stein, that was the way I heard it, that basically Schumer was threatening violence.
Yeah, what Obama has done is abandon the principle that respect for law matters in immigration. Anybody looking in this bill can see that they've delegated to the DHS secretary the right to just ignore the law en masse. And the first thing that the Congress should have done after what Obama did before the last election with the deferred childhood amnesty was to reassert its proper role, its plenary authority under the Constitution to decide who gets to come and under what conditions. The Supreme Court has always deferred to Congress. Its highest ebb of its authority is in establishing the rules under which people can come, and under what conditions. It's a sacred right of the American people under our Constitution to decide who we will be. And now we see Congress delegating to the executive, to a rogue president, total discretion to just abandon the rule of law.
And they know Dan Stein of Federation for American Immigration Reform, FAIR. They know that he's going to do this. They know what he's going to do.
Yeah, and yet they're giving away a prerogative that is so sacred. You know, people like Lamar Alexander and others apparently think the American people are either too stupid, or they just don't know better, or they don't understand the Corkers' cockiness on the Senate floor, thinking that, you know, I think somebody calculated that they basically, with the Corker Amendment, they paid about $7 billion a vote to pick up those, a couple of extra Senate votes that the Corker-Hoven Amendment picked in. And it's absurd the way Harry Reid is able to get away with throwing in these special interest provisions over the weekend in a non-democratic fashion. Nobody's even read the bill. Obviously, most of these senators didn't even know what they were getting ready to vote on when they stumbled back into the Senate chamber. And the question is how you are touching on so many important points on your show about the ordered democracy our Constitution sets out. And in these areas, national defense, national security, border enforcement, and immigration control, this is the perimeter, the essence of American sovereignty. If our commander-in-chief, if our executive will not execute the laws of Congress, then what is the basis for him remaining in office as the commander-in-chief or the executive? Why is it different if the president will not deploy the military to defend against an invading army in Florida or Texas or what have you, or will not enforce the immigration laws of this country? What is the difference in terms of the impeachability of this misfeasance?
Listen, I agree with you, but you know what we're dealing with in Congress here. I mean, we got Boehner, and we can't be sure what he's going to do. I'm very nervous about the guy.
Well, fortunately, see, because of the way the media was publicizing the talking points for about 3 weeks, and because the networks seem to be missing in action, it has taken longer to engage the public. But following the call tracking and the Twitter feeds in the last several days, there's no question your show and a couple others have been pivotal. The grassroots are on fire. We must, well, first of all, we can't let up on the Senate. People need to call their Senate. Please call your senators. If they voted the wrong way, you have to tell them how you're going to vote.
Because there's another vote, right, Dan Stein?
Well, we're not done. I mean, we still got another couple votes here.
Yeah.
And then it's important that you call people like Jeff Sessions and Ted Cruz. Jeff Sessions, what a national hero. This guy, I mean, we've worked closely with him. He has been 24/7, 24 hours a day for the last 3 weeks, talking till he's hoarse on the Senate floor, highlighting what's going on this bill. I mean, he needs to hear your positive support of appreciation for what he has been doing. And then we have to turn all, like a laser beam, all our attention to Boehner in the House. Boehner cannot be trusted. That you see the segment, we have basically the American people versus the elite controlling the two-party apparatus. You've made it clear, you understand, and I'm sure your listeners do, there is a Republican elite in control of the party apparatus that's ready to throw the American people overboard. And we can't let that happen. I mean, this is a serious battle we're in here.
Now tell everybody, Dan Stein of FAIR, what your website is.
Thanks for asking. It's fairus.org, fairus.org. You'll find all the tools you need to get the information on the bill, the specifics, the loopholes, the waivers, who you need to call, who you need to write, who you need to fax. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your focusing on this topic, Mark. You're just an American hero.
Well, you too, and I really appreciate it, Dan. You've been at this for years and years and years, and God bless you, and we're going to keep fighting.
Yeah, I know.
All right. God bless you. Take care.
Talk to you later.
All right. That's fair.us, I believe he said. Fair.us. Oh, fairus.org. I'm sorry. Fairus.org. Let's pop it up there on my social sites. Fairus.org. Go there, and they'll give you some information and provide us with some guidance. Dan Stein is the president of FAIR, has been the president of the Federation for American Immigration Reform for a very, very long time, and has been fighting the fight on this.